All right, so I have a Riddick read for y'all today, and this person has a question. But before we go ahead and get into that question, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can view all of our upcoming videos that we're going to have posted, as well as check out some of our other videos that we have already posted. All right, so this is how it goes. I have a question is the title. Now, this might be a stupid question, or maybe it isn't, but how do I become a sort of father figure to someone, or be able to be the one where they look up to you or come to you for advice? Recently, my brother had to be deported, leaving behind his two sons. One just turned 10 and the other is just 13. And I feel like that it has to be rough for them. I want to be there for them, but I don't know what to say. I don't want them to grow up without some sort of guidance, if you know what I mean. Their mom just moved into a new house with my brother, and it hasn't even been a week since they got in, so she doesn't have a job. And I feel like raising two kids while searching a job would be difficult. I just want to be there for my nephews so they could be happy and not go to the wrong path or do anything wild. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but I figure I will ask. All right. Now, one thing that I want to say, or the first thing I want to say is this is already heartbreaking. You know, you have the two sons that has just lost their father. Okay. And that is already devastating enough. If you can't imagine losing a parent, whether you lost them to death or they went to jail, then there's always, some level of frustration that is there when you lose a parent, when you lose either one of your parents. Sometimes you blame yourself depending on the nature of the situation, and other times, you're just frustrated at how it all occurred. Maybe you could have did something differently. There were times where certain situations happen with my mom, and I just thought that I could be the one that can solve the issue, or I was the one that caused the issue. And it always weighed in the back of my mind of how I could have did something differently. There was one incident I had seen my mom go through, and I was certain that there was something that I can do, and that imagery replays over and over inside of my head, wishing that there was some kind of change that I could have made, that there was some kind of event or emotion that would erupted that would have had a whole change of event for that day. And no matter how many times I think about it, or how many times that I actually want it to change, it will not change, because that event happened and that event has passed and I can't change it. Okay. There was a situation where my brothers didn't have a father in their life for a period of time, and I wanted to be there for them and be that father figure, and be that person that they can go ahead and look up to, and be the example for them. And I can be the one to tell you that it all depends on the person and how they are going to receive it. And I can't say that my brothers didn't receive the unconditional love that I was trying to bring to them. I can't say that they didn't receive the lessons that I tried to teach them. I can't say that the things that I've done for my son that I wanted to do for them as well, so far as have those conversations about going to high school, about the women that they're going to interact with, that they need to go ahead and just focus on school and be that pillar of information, be that pillar of support, emotional, mental, support for them while they went through the situation that they went through. And being that father figure in some cases is hard, is difficult. Okay, being a parent is a thankless job. You don't really understand the value that you instill in your kids until they get older and they actually start to realize that what you've been trying to tell them and what you've been trying to show them actually starts to manifest itself in different ways. Okay, and my son is the example of that. As many lectures I've gave him, it started to show us, the lessons started to kind of pop up in high school. And he was like, Dad, I remember when you told me about this, and I remember when you told me about that. Me growing up without a father, I had father figures. And as much as hard-headed as I was, and I didn't want to listen to what they had to say, it was actually difficult for them to actually try to get through to me because I didn't want to hear it. I was living my own life and doing the things that I wanted to do. Now, I do appreciate every father figure that I've had in my life that has molded me into the person that I am today, that has given me the opportunity that I wouldn't have had they not been there to kind of talk to me off the ledge or talk to me and invested the time and the energy and the knowledge and the wisdom to get me to do particular activities, to be a part of particular programs. And from one father figure of people to another father figure of people, I appreciate all my father figures. And shout out to this young man right here that wants to step up and be a father figure. I commend that 100%. There are a lot of people that won't do that, and these are your nephews. So I understand you want to step up, because there's some uncles that probably won't step up at all. They will probably keep on living their lives and kind of be there from a distance. So we're gonna go ahead and start breaking this down and understand like some of the things that you can do so far, like being a father figure, man. And then again, I can't stress this enough how much I commend you for stepping up and being that father figure, man, because I can tell you it's definitely not an easy task. It's not an easy job. And don't let anybody discourage you or knock you off this high horse, okay? So you want to know how you can become some sort of father figure. Man, to be honest with you, you kind of grow into it, okay? You start with conversations, and then, those conversations grow into activities. Now, you don't want to buy their love, okay? So stray away from buying their love. Stray away from buying them particular gifts and, doing a bargaining tactic, whereas I'll buy you this if you tell me that. I'll take you here, to try to extract information, because what happens is kids are really smart. So you get into that perspective, you get into those situations where they realize that you're going to buy them something in exchange for something. And once you get into that situation, it's going to get hard to get out of, because if they don't see that the exchange is not time for information, then you're going to lose, because you're going to spend way more money trying to get information, and then they'll learn to falsify information in order for them to get something out of you. So you don't want to get into that bargaining, whereas, I'll take you here if you tell me this, especially if it's something going wrong with them or anything like that. So you want to try to keep it platonic. No, not necessarily platonic, but you want to kind of keep it less costly. So don't get into the habit of spending money. They have a bad day at school or something like that. You go take them ice cream and you think that's going to have them open up and have conversation, because then they're going to realize as long as they keep acting up at school, then the reward is they're going to sit down and have ice cream, and then they're going to feed you some bullshit. That's just a true statement right there. But one of the ways that you can go ahead and win them over is just by spending time. and have a conversation. If they're in sports, show up to their games, practice with them, stuff like that. And you do want to do a reward system when they do something great. You don't want to do a reward system and in the aspect of they doing something wrong, and you use something trying to get information out of them. You don't want to go down that route. So that's the route you want to stay away from. But you do want to sit down and have conversations with them. You do want to be able to spend time with them. So if that means taking a few of your weekends and spending time with them, or they can come over and they sleep over on the weekends, and y'all do activities like watch wrestling or sports, or go to the court, play basketball, throw the baseball around, throw the football around, just stuff like that. To be a father figure is doing the fatherly things because the actual father is not there. It doesn't involve having to spend money. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrapped up at, is that they think that we have to spend money in order to make our kids happy. But with the age that these kids are at, which is 10 and 13, like playing football in the backyard will be cool. Showing them how to cook, teaching them valuable skills that some kids aren't even learning right now. I'm just saying some kids, not even all kids, but some kids not learning right now. Being able to fix a running toilet, a little bit of plumbing work, a little bit of carpentry work, stuff like that. Working on little projects like that so you can build that bond. And that's one of the things that you want to do is bond with them. Build a bond, and that happens through conversation. That happens through action. You can't just show up in their life and then, instantly expect to be a father figure. It doesn't work like that. It's going to take time. It's going to take energy. It's going to take weekends. It's going to take holidays. When they're acting up at school, you want to be there to try to discipline them and correct their action. It doesn't involve buying them anything just to extract information, but you want to be there to have those conversations, to see what's going on, to have them confide in you. For a kid to confide in you, you have to show up. And you got to imagine being a parent is a 24/7 job. Something happened in the middle of the night. It's not just, I'm going to stay in my bed because, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Sometimes it means getting up and going over there. I don't know how far apart y'all live, but sometimes it means getting up and going over there. It's a lot of those little things that makes the difference, especially when you got two boys. So you have to be there to have those conversations. And the youngest one's probably going to experience it the most. Probably going to get quiet, kind of shy away from certain situations and be quiet in the corner. The oldest may act out a little bit, or maybe vice versa. So you have to be there, and you have to be there consistently. Okay, one has 8 years until they're 18. The other one has about 4 or 5 years until they're 18. So you're looking at a lot of time that you're going to end up spending with these kids, until they turn 18, because clearly their father was deported, and is less likely that he is coming back. So, and they just bought a new, so that we continue on through here. So I just want to reiterate that those are some of the things that you can do to be a father figure. No, it doesn't require money. It just requires time. And I really can't stress that enough, how much time that you're going to invest in these kids over the next 5 to 8 years of their lives. And it's not going to stop at 18. It's going to continue on beyond that. So you're going to be doing this for the rest of their life. So I need you to understand what this investment looks like, for the next duration. Father figure, like, you can't be a part-time father. Like, you're really going to have to be there if you're going to be this father figure. Okay, because the father figure, for some father figures is, it could be temporary. Depends on whether it's a boyfriend or a stepfather. If it's a stepfather, it could be around a little bit longer, and until divorce happens or whatever like that, and probably cut his losses and leave. But for, everything else, you're the uncle. So you're always going to be there, but you're going to have to be there just a little bit more if you want to be that father figure. Okay. So we know that you have one kid that's 10, the other one that's 13. You feel like it's going to be a little bit rough for them. So you don't know what to say. You don't want to grow without some sort of guidance. Okay. Okay, correct. You don't know what to say. Okay. But one thing you want to do is you want to ask them how they feel about the situation. And you want to talk with them through that. And you want to kind of make sure that you kind of pay attention to their behaviors, because, they may start acting out, or they may become reclusive, from everybody, just kind of fading into the back from people, not want to kind of talk to anybody. They may just want to just deal with each other, or, because they may have suppressed emotions that they don't want to put out there. So you have to make it a very comfortable space for them to want to be able to express themselves emotionally. So if they haven't cried yet, you want to have a conversation. I'm not saying make them cry or get them to cry, but you want to have a conversation so they can feel comfortable enough to cry and express themselves if they haven't cried already. And you want them to be able to express themselves verbally. You don't want them to express themselves physically, fighting and all that stuff. You don't want them to express themselves like that. You want to be able to say, hey, I need you to express yourself verbally. I need you to tell me what's going on in your mind. Tell me what's going on in your heart. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be mad. But, let's channel that anger, and, let's put them in an activity, put them in sports, or put them in boxing, put them in MMA, put them in karate, whatever, taekwondo, whatever you want to put them in that. Okay. But we want to make sure that we are having those conversations so they can kind of get that frustration and that anger out. Because if you let it sit there and you let it fester, then it turns into other problems that start to affect other areas of their lives, because you can't get that pinned out anger out. So it started to manifest its way in different ways. So you want to be able to have a conversation. You may not know what to say when you walk up to them, but sometimes it's, how are you doing? How are you feeling? This happened a few days ago. Do you want to talk about it? They may not want to talk about it right then and there. Sometimes you just sit around them until they're ready to talk, until they're comfortable with having the conversation. Kids sometimes are not always comfortable with having a conversation about how they feel, and some are. So it's really you having to be in their space to have that conversation. Okay. So once you have that conversation, it can help. All right. It can help a little bit, it can help a lot, but you have to be the one to be in that space to kind of gauge whether or not how it's working. Okay. Now you don't want them to grow without some sort of guidance. Okay. So let's take a few cues from your childhood. Okay. And what you endured as a child, with your brother, and whether you had your father, you didn't have your father, what are some of the things that you wanted to learn when you were a kid? What are some of the things that you wanted to do as a kid? Oftentimes, as parents and as fathers, we want to provide our kids with the opportunities and the activities that we wasn't privy to when we were a kid. So you kind of want to either recreate your childhood. If you had a great childhood, you probably want to recreate your childhood and probably go a step further. But if you didn't have a great childhood, then you already know what you don't want your nephews to experience. So you already know what you don't want your nephews to experience. So you want to go out there and have them experience all the things that you wanted to do as a kid. So if you wanted to be in what am I about to say? Track and field. Yeah. So if you wanted to be in track and field, but couldn't be in track and field when you was a kid, then you'll put your nephews in track and field and let them run around the track and have a good time. And you can go ahead and you can train with them. If you always wanted your dad to play baseball with you, just go in the backyard, ball, bat, and, go wild. Then you do that with them. Your childhood is actually the guidance that you would have or that you would need if you're self-aware enough to know that this is the way I lived and I want something different. I want to do something different and give and provide something different than what I had when I was a kid. And that is a possibility that is there because you already know what you went through, that you want to show them something different. Okay. So for all the things that you didn't get when you was a kid, or for all the things that you did get when you was a kid, you can give to them 2 to 3 times more because you already seen what you didn't get and what you can go ahead and give to them. So, that's one way to look at it, is looking at your childhood and seeing what you had versus what they have now, and putting them in them programs to get there. And also you got one that's 13, so like he probably about to go to high school, and the other one is probably still in elementary school, going to junior high school, or in junior high school. So you want to try to get them in activities. Go up to the school and say like, hey, what activities do they have? And if they won't talk to you, talk to the mom and see if you can have them go and talk to a counselor, and then y'all both sit with the counselor and get an idea of what's going on in their head if they're not talking to you. That's just a tidbit from the last one and everything. So, and then you said that the mom just moved into a new house with your brother. And this is the one that got deported. So she's trying to find a job right now while being in the new house, is what I'm guessing. Now, I can honestly say that, with everything going on, your brother being deported, moving into the new house, and searching for a new job, and then having the kids, that is a lot that is going on for one person to have to deal with. So if you can take over a little bit of the duties so far as the kids, so far as what they're dealing with, and have those conversations and kind of be like the buffer between the mom and the kids, that would be great. And have the conversations with them, do the activities with them while she focused on getting the house together, while she focused on getting a job. And if you, and even in your spare time, if you're at home or when you're at home and you find out that somebody is hiring, or you get wind that somebody's hiring through the grapevine, pass that information along. It'll make what she's doing a lot easier and help her search journey, or her search journey for a job a lot easier, because you're assisting with at least one of the 2 things that could be the most concerning, which is what the kids are going through, as well as the job aspect. So if you helped out with both of those events right there, I think that would be beneficial, going forward. So I would definitely say that your request for information is not stupid at all. And I commend you for stepping up, because there are a lot of men, I'm not even gonna say a lot, there are some men out there that wouldn't bat an eye at stepping up to be, a father figure to their nephews. Because you're an uncle right now, and based on this information right here, it doesn't seem like you have kids. It doesn't address it either, but it doesn't seem like that you have kids and that you want to step up for your nephews. I just want you to understand that when you decide to step up, it's not going to be a short-term thing. Okay? I'm not trying to dissuade you from it, but being a parent is a lifetime commitment. It's nothing that's going to stop at 18. It's not going to stop at 21. It is going to be consistent. As soon as you develop this bond with these kids, okay, and they look at you as a father figure, okay, and they have these intimate conversations with you, these very vulnerable conversations with you, you have to be the one to know that once you develop that bond, you are ingrained into that relationship. There is no stopping it. There is no turning around. There's no nothing. You are there and you are involved. That means that at graduations, you should be there. At events, you should be there. When they go to prom, you should be there. When they have their first heartbreak, you should be there. You know, when they get peer pressured, you should be there. When they get their first car, you should be there. Now, when they get into it with their mom and they don't have nowhere else to go, you should be there. I can't stress enough that being a father, the type of father figure that you're going to be because of the relationship that you have with them. This is not like, you know, a student and their guidance counselor, where the guidance counselor had conversation with them for 4 years, and then they went off and they left, went to college, and you know they went their separate ways. You know, but that counselor had an effect on them. You know, which is sort of kind of like a father figure to that student or whatever. That kind of assisted them in a particular way. Okay. And it could be considered like a father figure because they probably went and had those serious conversations with him. They probably went and had, thought-provoking and very emotional conversations. But in the same token, the situation that you're in is a little bit more close-knit because these are your nephews. So the father figure that you're going to be is that you're going to be there. And even if it's not every day, you're going to be somebody that can go ahead and reach out to. You're going to be somebody that they're going to lean on. And you have to be available, you know, for them kids in the short term to develop the relationship for the long term. Okay. So thank you for writing this post. I'm glad I was able to come across this and pick this up so I can go ahead and kind of give guidance on this. I'm your host, MNG. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you on the next recording. Peace.